All right. Welcome, everyone. So we are going to open the meeting. So we will start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up is roll call. So John, Paulette,
Here.
and myself is here. Absent is Kim and Claire. Up next is open forum, agenda items only pursuant to 4246-6D, maximum of 3 minutes per person. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak? You can go ahead, Mike.
Before we start, I just want to wish our videographer a happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
CJ, who is our fantastic person that makes it all happen.
Thank you for being
So
here.
just want to thank you, wish you a happy birthday. Sorry, Mr. Clifford.
No, I just wanted to address the issue number 4 here.
I don't know if that's on, Mike. It might
Is
be.
it on?
Now it is, yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, now it is.
I just wanted to address item number 4, the effect on the bond rating for the town of North Smithfield. I don't think it's, I certainly hope that at some point in time, we don't just simply ask bond counsel, you know, how much can we take out? How much can we borrow? I think the important thing is you have to give them the scenario of what's coming down the pike. You know, our budget is going to increase by $500,000 for the senior center management. We're losing revenue from the tangibles, and show them those numbers. He can't just in a vacuum say, you know, oh, you can take out 12 million or 4 million or whatever. He's got to know what's going to be happening so that he understands we're trying to do what's best for the town. So if you don't tap the fund balance, maybe you'll end up having to borrow more money, and then you won't have the payments. I mean, you won't be able to make the payments with the cap on the levy. So I wish, you know, we had the opportunity to present him with some concerns and not just accept a number from him without a backup information.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak?
Yeah, sorry. I've mentioned this before. Richard Grubb, Fowler Street, North Smithfield. I really think it's important that we bring some of the upcoming tasks out into the open. At the very least, maybe you already know because you've had closed sessions and things, but at the very least, we should have priorities from the chief or from his team or whatever that says, hey, if I had this much money, this is what I want first, this is what I want second. And that gives you a list to work on, because there aren't unlimited resources. There are limited resources, and you had to make choices. And you not only had to make choices between the police station, but you had to make choices between all the other projects in town. And it can't just be a self-interest. It really should be open. And I know that brings up the possibility of a lot of people talking and frustrating long meetings, but maybe you can put it in the paper with a list or whatever. But just please set priorities before you make one decision in a vacuum. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is discussion vote or other action on effective bond rating for the town of North Smithfield, use of unrestricted funds to pay for the police station repairs. I'll turn that over to Paulette.
Okay, so I did talk to Steve Massaroni, who is our bond, not our bond counsel, no, he is our financial advisor. And he did say that we had a discussion, and I told him what things we had going on, exactly what you're talking about, oddly enough, and it isn't in a vacuum. He will be coming to us a full council meeting if we allow him to, so that he can provide information to all of us at the same time. He did come up with a $3 million amount that he thinks at this point, given the information that he has, that we can take out without having any impact on the bond rating at all. You know, he went over everything that we've done in the past several years and the amount of money that we have in in the bank and, the other issuance, of bonds that are dropping off in a couple. So he's done like sort of a back of the envelope, and I told him we were meeting tonight so that I wanted to have some information. So, I don't think I can hold him to the 3. It could actually be more than that, but we did discuss 3 million only because we were looking at taking a dollar amount and making sure that it didn't exceed what we could afford. So in other words, we're going to have him do some work for us, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And by the end of that, we should have a complete update as to what we can do for $3 million. And we know now that if we had to utilize $3 million from the unrestricted fund, it would not affect our bond rating. So we're in good shape.
I have a question.
Yep.
If you go back when the original bond for the police station and then this building came up,
Yep.
isn't that kind of how we got into the position that we got in? Because we went first and we said, how much can we take out without raising taxes? Okay. And they gave us that number, and then we kind of backed the project into that number instead of first coming up with a number and then seeing what it would
Exactly.
cost to
Right.
to fix the
Which
bond.
is exactly what I don't want to do this time. I want to give him and the next item is going to be Mr. Army, a few items down. Give him a dollar amount that we think we can afford, and what can we do for that? So in other words, it would be like if we had a house and we had a renovation and we had $500,000 that we wanted to do, what can I do for that? Can I do a bathroom? Can I do 2 bathrooms? Can I do a bathroom and a kitchen? Can I do the driveway in addition? So not to exceed that number. So you're right. Instead of saying, let's see what's out there, and then coming up with a dollar amount, we're going to give him a dollar amount and have him come up with what we can do for that amount. Does that
Isn't that
make
the same
sense to
thing?
you?
Isn't that the same thing?
No, I don't think so. I think what we did was we took everybody's needs and then we came up with a dollar amount from that, right?
I wasn't here.
We
so
didn't
don't look at
have,
me.
we didn't have a dollar amount limit that we said at that point that, the bond that we took was to really have as many of the wish list items that we could, right?
Right, but we established the bond first. We established a number that we were gonna have available to us, and then we tried to back the project into fitting that number instead of first coming up with the number and then going for the bond.
Okay, all right, well, yeah, but what we don't want to go to bond, right?
Right,
At this point,
exactly.
we want to just use
Exactly.
as little as possible of the unrestricted fund, and then the grant that we have for $1 million, the grant that we have for 200, whatever it is, 129,000 for HVAC. So maybe what will answer your question is the discussion on option 2 after the
Okay.
next. If you don't, then we'll go right back.
No, that's fine.
And just make sure everybody's comfortable.
Yeah, so we're good to move on. So you're talking about now,
Good to move on.
which one, Paulette? The review of current grant deadlines or the discussion of other
Yeah, the
action
review
on
of
grants for
current
IT?
grant deadlines, if
Yeah,
we
we
could.
can do that.
I don't know, and I don't know if anybody on here knows what the deadlines are for that $1 million grant and for the 128 for the HVAC or lighting. Do we know the
I don't.
timelines?
I don't know.
Okay, and do we know who wrote those grants?
I know
Was it the
Yeah, the $1 million
planner?
came from, Mark Krul and
So
Paul
the-
Zelinski.
The planner and the,
Yeah.
okay, so I can ask them then, okay. And then the other thing for discussion vote or other action on requesting additional grants for IT and dispatch. I think, we know that those things are gonna be important for the, police station. The dispatch center itself is very expensive, so I think, with your permission, maybe I can just ask the grant writers who are currently looking for things to focus on
Oh, yeah,
those
absolutely.
Yeah, that
two
makes sense.
items, is that, okay, okay. Because I would like to at least try to get grant, sometimes you can get grant funding, especially for a dispatch center, if it's that one thing as opposed to just a general, because I think we do have another potential $500,000 grant out there, right? For Representative Amo's office.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard that.
So that could be, but that's general, right? So we can use it really for, well, I would rather get something would provide us with IT and then dispatch. So if you think that's good, I will ask the grant writers if you're in agreement.
I'll tell you this, the radio console at the police station, when I took a tour,
Terrible.
is the same, pretty much the same radio console that we had on the state police in 1990.
Wow. Wow. So do you want to work with me on that to find out, to make sure what we're
Sure.
asking for?
Sure.
Okay, all right, because I'm not that familiar with that, but I just figured that if we went for specific grants, you know, for like a one-shot purchase of something like that, we might be in better shape.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think it makes perfect sense. I think Gloucester just got money from the state for their dispatch. They were centralizing it, I think. I forget the dollar amount, but it was, I think, a few $100,000. So
Yeah,
it may
that
be
would-
worth the check,
Right, that would be helpful.
state, federal. Makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Can we just go back to the bond rating? So that 3 million, I just want to make sure I heard correctly. Is that to borrow from the fund balance? That's not to go out to
Correct.
bonds? Okay.
Right, so that's if we had to, right? I would love to be able to get enough grants to finish this and not have to take anything out, but I'm just
Right,
planning.
yeah, I just want to make sure I heard the
like,
number.
right, so if we had to take money out, we can take, and Steve Massaroni is gonna come and provide us with a more in-depth understanding of how he got to that dollar amount and
Okay.
why he feels that that would be not impactful at all on the bond.
Okay, that helps. Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions? All set? All right, so up next is discussion vote or other action on renovation plan, approximate completion of option 2 with architect and engineers to determine more accurate costs for renovation.
Okay, so what you have in front of you, and I don't know if I have extra copies, I can, anyway, I would like to read into the record, just at least the letter. This is from Signal Works regarding 575 Smithfield Road. North Smithfield is considering how to address their facility and function needs at their police station at 575 Smithfield Road, North Smithfield, the former Bushy School. Signal Works, under their former name Studio Measure, had completed construction drawings for a renovation scope in 2016. Since that time, the town had undertaken planning and design for a new public safety complex, the funding for which did not pass bond referendum in 2023. Since then, the town has taken steps to address some of the facility's envelope deficiencies. Currently, the town council is seeking strategies for how to address their facility and police department needs. The town currently has a certain amount available in grants and is working to identify the budget and timeline for the scope of repairs they would undertake. The architect and their engineers would update the building facility assessment to ascertain current condition of the building and its systems. During that time, they would also engage with key stakeholders such as police, council, and other interested parties to capture and prioritize functional needs. They would then create a conceptual plan showing alternate proposed approaches, including all-in-one renovation or, as we had said before, we might have to do multi-year capital expenditures option with a third-party cost estimates. After this is complete, in a future phase, budget and timeline can be set and distinct scope of work can be identified for design and bidding. So the deliverable will be facility need assessment, conceptual plans, and then a cost estimate. And in the back of the letter, he gives a process. Would be the discovery, which is the project kickoff, ID a single person or a point of contact, then collect prior project information, facility assessment, A&E plans, all the bids, interview stakeholders, police regarding current and future wants and needs, talk to the town planner, talk to the council, do a site visit, architect and engineers visit the site to confirm prior assessment and current conditions. And then the strategy is initial meeting with the point of contact, present preliminary findings, options, second meeting, and then a final schematic, and then a final cost of estimate of each package. So to Mr. Grubb's question earlier about, doing it in a vacuum, it isn't going to be in a vacuum. It's going to be all done at once now, and everything will be presented to us and to the town as we get it. To your question previously, Counselor, was to make sure that we have a cost estimate, and that is part of this. So it's pretty comprehensive. I think by the time we get this, we could do it, as he stated, an all-in-one renovation or a multi-year capital expenditure if we felt that we had to do it over a period of time. And I think all of us feel that we just want it done. You know, we just want to get it done in one fell swoop.
So is this using the set of plans that was originally?
Right. So it's the 2014 facility assessment, the 2016 A&E plans, the 2016 bids, and then looking at anything that we've done with Tecton, you know, for the envelope of the building. So taking that right off and not having that as part of the needs assessment.
All right, so we can use what we got from Tecton, right? We can use we can use drawings at Tecton?
No,
I think they can look at them, but they can't actually use
look at
them.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
copyright.
They have their own facility assessment. What they will do with this also is determine codes, and, you know, if the codes have changed in the last 10
Yeah, that's what I
years,
want to know.
if things have, you know, need to be modified in any way. I'm sure there are some that, you know, given new rules and regulations. And then there are also some that can remain the same if you're doing a renovation versus a new build, you know, so we'll have all that information. I did ask him if he could give me like a bit of a timeline, approximate completion of when this work was done. He said during the summer. So, I'd say by maybe, you know, mid-August or something, we would probably, and don't hold me to it in case something happens, but we would have this completed, and then we can just make a decision from there as to which thing is a priority first, which thing has to be done second, do we do it all at once? But we'll have a prioritization of needs based on this assessment, because he's gonna meet with the police.
And so the only way that we can use, because I apologize, I wasn't at the last meeting, I was out of town. So the only way that we can use Tecton's, not Tecton's, Studio Major's plans is if he oversees the project?
So he has to be able to use his own plans to be able to make this assessment, yeah, because they're proprietary.
All right, I still have reservations, though, of having somebody in charge of the project that never built a police station now.
Yeah, well, I think at this point, it's gonna be, you know, we're looking at different, I think some of the things we had talked about was making sure a Sally port was on. That's really, you know, I think an architect of his stature can put that together for us. The other thing we were talking about is getting the municipal court back to the police station. So I think if we do those two things and then do other renovations inside, you know, the dispatch has to be revamped, and, you know, the police is still only on one side of that building. They're still only using one side of that building. So they would work on the part that they're not using first. Any questions?
So he's gonna move forward and start. When does he plan on starting?
He would probably start within the next week.
And then will he update, like, the council, or will we not see anything
No,
until,
he's
like,
gonna-
mid-August?
We're gonna be part of the
Okay, so
people
he'll
that
come
he
to, like, a meeting and,
talks to, yeah, or that we can meet with him over at, you know, wherever, the police station or whatever, but yeah, the council is included in this. The town council representative.
and then, I couldn't find it, so I don't know if we ever got it or if it was just in another packet somewhere, but was there ever an original, like, structural engineering report done? Like, and then will he use that as kind of like a baseline, and then will we get a new structural engineering report in this process to
Yeah.
determine the validity
Yep,
of the building, even of all the changes we've done?
yes, so what
Okay.
we'll get is we'll know where we're going from there based on needs, based on prioritization of needs, and also looking at codes and being up, you know, we say that all the time, being up to code, making sure that those things are taken care of.
Right, that's my biggest concern.
Yeah.
the other question I have is, if he's, so is he doing his facility needs, going back to the other question earlier, the bond counsel, not bond counsel, the financial advisor, with the 3 million, is he going to, like, is it going to be treated like Hallowell kind of, where we said, go do your master plan, like your big vision, so he'll listen to everything, and then he has all the prices for that, but then he has more what you think you want to build for whatever dollar amount.
Right.
So then you can see, so like, I mean, you know, I'm sure the police are going to want like the court and other things, but then, you know, up here, if we're deciding what's, you know, priority, I'm assuming there's a priority list in this. We can say, well, you know, maybe we don't need that, maybe we need this,
That's
and this is
right.
the cost to swap it out.
Correct.
Instead of
We'll have
extra back and
flexibility.
forth.
Right, right.
So he'll still take everything and build it and say, this is what you can do, but this is what you're
Right.
targeting? Okay.
So this is the closest we've come to getting this finished, and I know that, you know, I don't know who else on here is running again, but I said it before that I think it's very important to me to make sure that this moves forward and that we have a substantial completion of the project before there's a changing of the guards. Because I think we owe it to the police to make sure that we finish this in the most efficient manner as we possibly can.
I agree something needs to be done over there. It's been far too long, but my only other question is the cost estimate. I know we've heard a lot in this process over the years, you know, it's construction versus full cost estimates. So is this, when he gives us a cost estimate, is he gonna give us like, here's your construction and plus, plus, like, I know when he presented last year, and I know
He didn't
that
have
was a little
FF&E,
different,
yeah.
but it wasn't FF&E, it was just
No,
contingency,
and
so
it-
we'll get the full breakout, right?
Well, there was no FF&E, I believe, back in 2016 even. I
Right.
think that was separate, the finance director had that information.
Right, but I want, if I'm getting a cost estimate, I want, like we got with Hallowell, and you know, probably we won't get, whenever Scouter's report comes in and what we've gotten with Tecton, it helps make it comparable, that's
Okay.
all.
Okay.
Instead of, you know, well, what's it look like, what's it don't look like, so.
Yeah.
See, I want to move it forward too, just like everybody else, but I don't want to move it forward just for the sake of moving it forward. I still have concerns about this individual architect overseeing a police station when he's never done one before. That's a legitimate concern.
Well, I mean, I know we've gone over this before, but the police are the people that wanted to work with him.
Oh,
And
that's
they
why I
did,
supported it,
and
right, because the
they-
chief said it.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean,
Right.
I don't think we're trying to do anything that hasn't been fully vetted already. You know what I mean? I think we're at the end of this process that has been vetted numerous times by numerous groups of people, by chiefs, by captains, by lieutenants, by, you know, and they were fine. And I think if we can provide them with some things that they have been asking for, which primarily the Sally Port, you know, the coming into the building in a safe manner, those types of things, those are priorities for them, you know. But to your point, some of the priorities for us might be making sure all the codes are up to snuff, you know. So I think once we get this package, we'll have a better idea of where we can go, and then, you know, with the financial advisor giving us some assistance, if we have to utilize funds, I don't think we have to go up to get even a small loan at this point. I think we
I
could
agree.
be okay.
Yeah, that the only reason I'm asking about the code, I just don't want to get to a point where it's a different renovation. I know we've heard that in the
Right.
past, so that's
Yeah.
the only reason, but
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's going to take care of all that, and, you know, that was also, I know, been vocal of having reservations about
Yeah.
Eric
No,
as
and
well, just because
I
he's admitted he
appreciate
hasn't, but,
Both of your opinions.
you know, when the
yeah.
chief said, you know, the plans seem fine, you know, it makes sense to work off of them and see
Well,
what
the
comes
chief,
out of it.
he did say that, but the chief was the plans because him and Chief Reynolds actually helped design those plans.
Oh, they did,
Right.
Right.
months.
But the
yeah.
chief also expressed reservations about having Eric Army oversee the project. He
Right.
liked the plans, but he wanted an experienced architect.
I think if I remember back from our last 3 meetings ago, I think we were saying Eric's designing the plans, And then I think that was the sentiment of everybody was,
Right.
there would be a clerk of the works or another person that would
Right.
oversee the project. Now, I'm sure there would still be an architectural
An
role,
owner's project manager would
but
be what
he
would
wouldn't be
our next
overseeing,
step.
it would be
Right.
someone like, probably like, I'm just gonna use him as an example, like when Tecton oversaw what they
Right.
were doing for the punch list, that I think is probably what the town would look to.
Correct.
Somebody with that
Well,
capability.
in fact, we even thought about, at the meeting you were here, we thought about, it was on the agenda to look at hiring a clerk of the works or owner's project manager, whatever you want to call the person. And we thought it was premature,
Yeah.
right? Because we don't even know what we're asking them to do, and we don't want to start asking them to oversee something that hasn't even been, designed yet, so.
Because I think that the plans may change, even after Eric presents them, they still may change.
Oh, yeah.
Then, once we do bring in that person, things change, as they're getting into
Right.
the process. So I think that's where you can probably offset some of that concern if you bring in somebody that has a little more public safety background.
Yep, and I think if you, the fact that you'll have some flexibility here, where you can do it all in one fell swoop and be done, which I would prefer to do. But
Yeah.
if there was some pushback or some need, because we have an extenuating circumstance with funding that we need that, in the unrestricted fund balance, then we could do it piecemeal, and we've all said, all of us, and especially those of you who have, construction background or been involved, that's not the most efficient way to do it, right? But, let's do the right thing and let's do it as quickly as possible so that we can move on to another project.
Yeah,
I'd like to be able to take a big check mark and check that off our list.
when Steve Massaroni does come in,
Mhm.
he's also said that the town can borrow up to $17 million. So I do,
Mhm.
I would like to see what went
The
into both of those
rationale. Right,
analysis,
right,
so that
right.
way we know, because it is all based on whatever he's told, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So that was just another thing I was thinking as we were talking.
Yeah. Well, and again, that's why I said we're having a meeting. I'd like to know at least, what you think off the top of your head. And we talked about it just yesterday. And he asked if he could come to a meeting for that reason, to express, well, how did I get here? Why do I think it's not going to affect the bond rating? And I said, yep, that would be good. We would love to have you.
Okay. So we don't need to do anything on that
Nope.
then, right? It's just an update?
Yep.
So is there any other discussion, or if there isn't, then we can move on?
Move on.
Awesome. So the next agenda item is next meeting. So I'm assuming we should probably meet soon with an update, or how do you want to handle it, Paulette?
Well, why don't I find out, when he'll start, right? And then I can give you an update on that. So maybe we postpone deciding on a meeting date.
Yeah, that's
Till I
fine.
get a little more information. Is that okay?
It would be good to get like a flow chart, like a Gantt chart of what his project plan looks like, so that we can also see where he is in the process. Because if we're gonna meet and there's nothing really to talk about, then we
Right.
know we can schedule a meeting in
Yep.
like a month or 2 months or whatever.
Okay. And we're pretty much finished, with the exception of sealing the brick on the exterior, so I really don't have anything on the exterior to talk about. It's really focusing now internally.
Okay.
All right, can wait then.
So if there's no other discussion, then a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye,
Aye.
we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.